Okay, now that we know what Entity Framework is, let's take a look at adding that to our application. Now, one of the extensions we installed earlier on was this NuGet Gallery, and this one allows us to go out to the NuGet repository and download and install packages into our .NET project. So let's go ahead and use this to install the two Entity Framework packages that we need to, and when we do install any packages, then they get listed inside our CSproj file. Now you're about to see me demonstrate using the command palette and opening up NuGet Gallery, but you'll probably find that you don't have that option inside your command palette, and that's because you would have installed the newest version of the NuGet Gallery, which will be at least version 1.1. In the early demonstrations, then I was on version 0. something, which was the version available of NuGet Gallery for about 3 years. But during the process of recording this course, it's actually got a major update, and it's much improved, but you don't open it the same way I'm going to demonstrate in the early parts of this course. The way that you get to NuGet Gallery nowadays, and ignore that code, this is from way later on in the course, but the way that you open up NuGet Gallery nowadays is you open up the terminal, or use the shortcut key to open up the terminal, and then you'll find that you have this NuGet tab. And inside this NuGet tab, you've got the search facility to search for packages. And then when you find the package you want, you can then use the plus button over here to install it to your project. And please use that approach to using NuGet. And like I say, in the early part, you're going to see me using the command palette, but obviously you have a much better option to use the NuGet tab when you open up your terminal. And then you can search for the packages that you're using or you wish to install and do it that way. So let's go ahead and open up the NuGet Gallery. So we're going to use our command palette, and remember the shortcut keys for this are listed on your background of VS Code. So I'm going to say show all commands, and then we look for NuGet and we're going to open the NuGet Gallery, and then we can search for the packages that we want to add to our application. So we're going to search for, and because we're using SQLite in the early stages of this course, we're going to search for Microsoft.Entity Framework, and we're going to look for Entity Framework.SQLite. So I'm just going to add SQLite to this as well. Now it's easy to make a mistake here and pick the wrong one, and if you do pick the wrong one, then you're going to have issues creating the database. So very specifically, we need Microsoft Entity Framework Core.SQLite. We do not want this one, SQLite.core. That's going to not work. We don't want the one below. We really do need to specify this one as the one that we want to install. And another crucial point is which version do you install? Well, I'm on .NET 8 for this demonstration, so I want the version that matches that major version number. Now inside the list of different versions, I've got 8.04 is the most recent version available, but I can also go back and install earlier versions. Now, if I was using .NET 6, then I would have to use the version of Entity Framework that matches that. So I would pick 6.0.29, the latest available version for .NET 6, if I was using .NET 6. Same goes for .NET 7, I would use the equivalent version of Entity Framework for that. Because I'm using .NET 8, I'm going to stick with 8.0.4, the latest available version that matches the major number, the 8 in this case, with what version of the framework we're using. I point out, of course, if in the future, as one day it will be released, .NET 9, .NET 10 will be released, the same law applies. Just pick the major version of Entity Framework that matches your .NET runtime version. And then I'm going to go ahead, tick the API.csproj box, and then go ahead and install it. Now, we're going to be using migrations with our project, and that means we need to add a package that allows us to create migrations, and the package we need for that is Microsoft.EntityFramework.Design. And same rules apply, just pick the same version that matches the major version of the runtime you're using, which in this case is 8.0.4 in my case, but obviously if you're using a different version of .NET to that, then pick the matching version of Entity Framework. So I'll go ahead and install this as well. And then I'll just press return. Notice what's going on in the terminal here as well. Hot reload does not work for some things. Quite a lot of things, in fact. And inside our terminal, we get the message, do we want to restart our app? Yes, no, always, or never. And whenever you make a code change in your application, please do come and check your terminal to see if this has popped up. Because if it does pop up, it means your code changes have not been applied and will not reflect what's going on in your application. So I'm going to say yes to this. I want to restart my app. I've tried using always, that doesn't really work as I would expect it to. And oftentimes you'll see me coming back in to check my terminal when I've made a significant code change to see how my application is behaving and whether or not it did restart successfully. Try and make that a habit after any code change you've made, just to check your terminal to see what's going on. So I'm going to say yes to this question anyway. I want to restart my application. And it should restart successfully, and sure enough it does. So now that we have Entity Framework installed, and if we just go and check the API CS Podge file, then we can see that we have these two packages installed. We've got the Microsoft Entity Framework Core Design and SQLite as well. And just to clarify the versions that I'm using, 8.0.4 for both of them. So now we have this installed and available, we're going to create an important class inside our project called the DB Context class, and we'll take a look at that next.